Over the last few seasons, we've seen a new champion every single season, some coming out of nowhere and others who are destined for greatness. However, during this time, we've also seen teams who have struggled to create an identity and pick a direction. In this video, I'll be going over 3 teams who are stuck in that dreaded no man's land, teams whose future prospects look bleak and who may be a handful of years away from any type of relevance. Our first team should come as no surprise. It's the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls have been very well renowned around the NBA for being absolutely mid. And if it were last season, I might have said they're the middest team in the history of the NBA. But thankfully, with some of their moves this past deadline and in the offseason, I think they're slowly headed in the right direction. But we can never be sure with them. Just this deadline, they traded away franchise cornerstone Zach LaVine in return for a couple of players and some seconds. Nothing substantial. Last offseason, they lost DeMar DeRozan and traded possibly their most sought after asset in Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. A trade that not many people were fans of. If you're trading with OKC, a team with an infinite amount of first round picks, how could you not get a pick in that deal? What made it worse is that there were rumors that during the 2024 deadline, just a couple months before the Caruso trade, multiple teams offered multiple firsts for Caruso and even a first round pick for Lonzo Ball, who, get this, they just traded in this offseason 1-for-1 for Isaac Okoro to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Bulls have been notorious for mismanaging their assets. They have not received anything of worth from any team for their most valuable assets because they simply act too late. I hope that's not the case for whatever they decide to do with Vucevic and Kobe White, who I assume aren't necessarily in their long-term plans. Kobe White is due a contract extension which can command possibly $30 million annually. He's already on one of the best contracts in the NBA, and many contenders would be more than willing to offer valuable assets for him. I'm not sure if that's the case for Vucevic, who they may have to salary dump or attach an asset. There are rumors that if they can't find a trade for him, they might buy him out or release him so that he could sign with a different team. I'm not sure the truth of those rumors because I don't know if they want to take on that much salary, but I do think they can find a trade for him. At this point as well, Patrick Williams seems to have an untradeable contract, which is of course the Bulls' fault. They were far too premature in the re-signing of him. He was injury prone, he barely got to play, and when he did play, he didn't look too great. I'm glad that they're not repeating the same mistake with Josh Giddey, who is still a restricted free agent as of the making of this video. I'm glad that they're waiting their time. They have all the leverage in the world when it comes to a Josh Giddey deal. They should wait, and he will probably be forced to re-sign. For our next team, we have the Sacramento Kings, and man, is this a tough one to have here, but ultimately, it is true. Just a couple years ago, the Kings were hosting a playoff series in a super competitive West. Their future was bright, but that light dwindled out in the span of a couple years. Why though? In my opinion, it was a combination of front office failures, poor asset management, and just player weakness / lack of development. Even during the 2023 season when the Kings were the 3 seed, they weren't really favored to win anything, not even the series that they were a part of. And those ideas and thoughts sort of amplified following the playoffs where they were bounced in the first round. Sabonis didn't seem like a playoff performer, and there wasn't really much the team could do to get better around the edges. When your big is such a liability on defense, it's tough to surround them with pieces who can both complement him and also cover his weaknesses. They did try. That's not something I'll say they didn't do. They tried a ton, but unfortunately the mix of talent that they acquired just didn't work out. Their big home run pick in the 2022 draft was Keegan Murray, who they selected 4th, who had a fantastic rookie year, but he seemingly regressed every year following that. He didn't progress, he got worse arguably. Fox was due for a contract and was growing frustrated with the lack of movement in the organization. You signed and traded for DeMar DeRozan, who wasn't a good fit in between Fox and Sabonis. I haven't even mentioned the Halliburton trade. I think it's safe to say the Kings may regret the Hallie trade now. However, gaining a playoff appearance after 20 plus years of being asked may just be enough of a return for them. I do think the Kings should embrace a hard rebuild once again, trading away DeMar, trading away Sabonis, maybe trading away Keegan. He is pretty old for a player drafted 3 years ago, but he could still be a part of it. I do think he still has value. But I do understand it's a tough ask to ask a team who was terrible for so long to be terrible again. For the owners, maybe being mediocre is enough. It generates enough revenue. But if you're a front office guy, if you're a player for the team, I'm not sure what you'd really be looking for. You're gonna be stuck in the 13 seed because I don't really see a way you make it to a top 10 seed in the West right now, especially with how competitive it is. Next up is a team that might surprise many of you, and it's the Miami Heat, a franchise known for Heat culture, toughness, and winning. But in 2025, that culture is doing all the heavy lifting because the actual team, it's not even close. Let's start with their biggest move. They traded away Jimmy Butler, their star player for the past couple of seasons, to the Warriors. Traded to the Warriors for Andrew Wiggins and a couple picks. And while the return was fine on paper, they had no leverage in the trade. It really signaled the end of Miami's competitive window. A team who just made the 2023 finals 2 years later, trading away their star player and their leader. Let's start. Bam Adebayo, the defensive anchor and second star, looked far worse this year. More passive offensively, and he was inconsistent in big moments. This was arguably his worst year since his rookie year. Jaime Jaquez, one of last year's promising rookies, didn't take the leap. He stalled, looking more like a rotation guy than a future core piece. Tyler Hero admittedly had a fantastic year. Efficient scoring, clutch moments, and signs of leadership. But let's be honest, he's not the kind of guy who leads a team to a championship. He's not a number one. Not yet, maybe not ever. Khalil Ware was a bright spot. He was fantastic as a rookie. Rim running, shot blocking, high energy, hitting some threes. He fit well alongside Bam Adebayo. And the Heat did get a steal in the draft with Kasparas Yakushonis, high IQ guard with great upside at pick 20. I had him going as high as 5. He might end up being the best value pick in the draft. But here's the issue. Even with Hero playing well, Ware developing, and Yakushonis on the rise, this team is not close. They're not bad, not at all. They could be a 6 seed, maybe win a round, but a title contender? Not unless they add a superstar to this roster. And here's the problem. I don't think that's happening. Not in this market, not with this cap sheet, not with how stingy Pat Riley has become in recent years. He passed on Lillard, didn't go all in on Beal, which admittedly is looking back at it, it's a good move. And maybe instead of shaking things up, he's sitting tight. And a lot of Heat fans have said a little too tight. The team has stalled for the last 2 seasons. And after the 2023 finals, I think everyone knew that this wasn't really repeatable. They did give the Heat the benefit of the doubt, but that was a sort of right place, right time run for them. And it's going to be hard to replicate that. And that's what they sort of found out the last 2 seasons. So while they aren't as hopeless as the Bulls or Kings, they are stuck in a weird place. A team that's close but not close enough. Maybe they land another star for a very cheap price like how the Mavs did with Kyrie Irving. But I really don't see that happening. Especially with Pat Riley thinking he can finesse a bunch of GMs. And admittedly, in today's NBA, they aren't in the worst position possible, right? They're not the Bulls or the Kings. They do have valuable assets, but let's hope to see a bit more, emphasis, a bit more movement, a bit more rush, a little movement to get things going. Alright, and that'd be all for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the 3 teams I chose in this video. Do you disagree? Do you agree? Do you think there's another team that should make the list? I think there was a couple more that I had in mind, but none as necessarily in the middle as these 3 teams. Drop your thoughts in the comment below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you check out the Instagram page, TBNBA, and I'll see you guys in another one.